And this is my film of the garden on the 1st of July in 2017. It's just what you see, nothing is prepared, and it's really just a record of how things progress during the months of the year. We have had a very dry spell in June, and we had a week of very, very hot weather. And the poor old garden is really parched. The lawns are in a terrible state. They're desperate for water, but I can't water them, so they have to fend for themselves. Sadly, the heron has been here several times during the early spring, late winter, and it took about 25 of my fish, so now I have to net it. It's a great pity. The red hot pokers were very good, but they're really just about over now. It's very apparent that I'm not really into herbaceous plants. They're very hard work in my view, and you've got very little in the winter. So I'm more into shrubs and heathers and trees. It's a little bit early for the clematis on the arbor here to be at their best. They're only just beginning to come out. But elsewhere in the garden, in a sort of more advantageous spot, they're at their peak really. You can see how very parched the lawns are here. But you've got to take what nature throws at you, no good complaining. I certainly can't complain about the pelargonians here. I think this is the 4th, or it might even be 5th year. I just leave them in the ground and they do very well. I think it's something to do with the fact that we're 500 feet up and the cold air in winter seems to sink down into the valleys. So pelargoniums here they're really perennials. This is a new bed, I think it's a 2nd year, and I've just started to plant heathers and some azaleas and rhododendrons, and there's a magnolia at the back there, and this is an acer. It's the coral bark one. The bark is very bright red in winter, but that's all got some way to go. Foxgloves are like a weed here, but my wife likes them, so I tend to leave some, but I'm always pulling them up. This is a very sheltered part of the garden. There's a yew hedge and a wall at the back and a big Devon bank on one side and the house on the other, and so it's protected. And you can see how much further the clematis are here than down in the back of the garden, which is more exposed. Back in the winter, I noticed that some of the wild strawberries had seeded themselves, so I've left them. And here's evidence that butterflies like astilbes. These grasses remind me of Thomas Hardy, a great hero of mine, when he was ascribing the hair of his, at the time, girlfriend, Emma, whom he met down in Cornwall. He used those lovely words, danced and sported in the wind. Now that describes the hair of a pretty young girl, but it also is very apt for these grasses, don't you think? Well, thank you for watching, and that's just about it. The next time I will be making a record of what's going on in the garden will be autumn.